timestamp 5 May 26, 2026. Still waking up. About 3:40 in the morning a.m. I crashed pretty hard. I went to bed at probably 6. Yeah, I got about 9 hours sleep. That's huge for me. I woke up a couple times, so it wasn't like, perfect straight through. Changed out the Blu-ray. I know I ended with Modern Undead. Which, if you're into the Doctor Who, that is Turlough's first episode. We get to see the delightful Black Guardian again. Such a sweet fella. It's the closest thing to a Satan that they pretty much have in Doctor Who. There's a white guardian and a black guardian. Kind of something between God and Satan and like the Watchers from Marvel. And about as cuddly. You see the White Guardian and the Black Guardian a lot in the Key to Time series too with Tom Baker. Be aware. Finish off whatever this is. I agree. It's probably warm. I got up probably about 10-15 minutes ago and hit the power button. That's one good thing about this particular coffee maker. It's good and bad, really. It does have one of those auto shut-offs, which it's good in the fact that if everybody has in fact gone down, it's not just sitting there generating heat and electricity. But if there's some left over and everybody gets up, then you are greeted with cold coffee. Good with the bad, right? It's a good safety precaution, though. I respect it. Just started to jump into a panic attack there. That's cool. Just felt my heart start to like go. Red Bull, it gives you seizures. So, yeah, slept probably about 9 hours. I feel pretty good. That was refreshing. Clearly I needed it. Yeah, yesterday afternoon I was just researching and listing Beanie Babies. It's funny, I talked to Fun Size for probably about an hour. Actually, more than that. We talked on the phone for an hour. We texted back and forth for half an hour to an hour before that. And she was wondering what my plans were for Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day. Yesterday, by the way. I was like, I'm doing what every American kid wants to do. I'm looking over, 80 totes of Beanie Babies. She's going through some tricky times in her life, too. But I'm pulling for her. Going through some despair. Yeah, making my notes. Keeping it simple, really. Ones that typically sell for like under $5 are on one list. and everybody else is on the other list. But because I keep coming up with the same, and we saw this when we were going through it, I mean, we were laughing about it, Pix and I, when we were going through the first, 60 totes, looking for the paperwork, the pocket watches. It's like every other tote, ducks, more ducks, the little yellow ducks, the mallard ducks, geese. We kept seeing the same characters coming up over and over. There's not an infinite amount of different types of Beanie Baby. So, there were like 4 or 5 different totes that had Princess Bears and Erin. Erin. It's the green Ireland bear. It's green with like a white shamrock. I think I mentioned it the other day. But they aren't all in one tote. There's 20 in this one, there's 30 in this one, there's 3 oddballs over here. Oh yeah, and there's another 40 in this one. So, because this is in fact not my first rodeo, my thought was I need to make a couple of cheat sheets, because I'm going to list a bunch of errands, and then a month later, after they're sold, to God's ears, I'm gonna come across another 20, and I'm gonna say, what was I selling these at? I mean, I can pull it up on eBay, but being able to eyeball at a moment's notice, what's the typical price for this? Because I may even put them out at the garage sale, and I want to try and make sure that I'm being consistent, because if it sells for $10, then I should get $10 for it. You know what I mean? I don't want to ask 20 and then wonder why people aren't paying me, and I don't want to ask for 5 and wind up basically leaving money on the table. This was essentially given to me by my parents. I need to be a good steward. And my family is counting on me to get us ready to do whatever our next move is. So I would be shirking my responsibilities if I didn't, be consistent, do my best on it. But it's a major pain in the ass, the whole scenario. It is. Next time, just leave me a really big stack. At a certain point, stop. That is the Harry and David milk chocolate caramel. And it is good. So, while I slept, and some of this might be because I listed the Beanie Babies, eBay is weird. If you're not listing on a regular basis, exactly, they don't push your stuff to the front of the shelf. If you're listing, they push your stuff to the front of the shelf. So somebody that listed a whole bunch of stuff a month ago but hasn't done anything with it, their goods are the last things people are going to see when they do a search. Somebody that listed yesterday, all of their stuff gets promoted. It's a thing. So me listing all those Beanie Babies probably pushed a lot of my stuff up to where it was getting seen more. Because I sold like 2 high-ticket items last night while I slept. When I say high-ticket, I mean like over $500. So that's great. That's my bills. That's my mortgage payment, because I'm still paying mortgage payments on George. That's my mortgage payment. That's my electric bill, which, yikes. Pix isn't even using a lot of electricity, and it's still higher than it probably should be. But from what I understand, what I've seen, the utility companies across the country are tightening the screws on people, which I'm pro-capitalism, but any bazaar or market, has capitalism. It's part of the human experience. But capitalism on this scale, without any kind of oversight, we're asking for trouble. Because these big corporations are talking to each other and they're basically fixing their own prices. In more honest times, it would be a race to the cheapest price. Now it's who can charge the most without suddenly not getting sales. How far can we take it? And the government is not telling them no. There was an organization put together, proposed by, I think, Elizabeth Warren, because she's pretty tough on that kind of thing. And I think that got stripped of funding and whatnot with this administration. It's like one of the consumer protection bureaus. It's there to try and make sure that you and me don't get ripped off. And of course, an administration like this is like, oh, that's terribly unnecessary. Protecting the people? Pshaw. They don't care. I think we have some members of Congress that care, but as far as the big broken White House, yeah, they don't care. They're grifters. Every one of them. So, exactly. Yeah. Just trying to keep everybody alive here. No different from you in that respect. I'm just on a more advanced board where I've got basically 2 households that I'm trying to make work. My wife and I joke about it, because we both play, I haven't played in a while, but we both play Stardew Valley. Really great, farm resource game. And there's a certain point in the game, in the original, you've got a farm, and you're working that farm, working with the villagers, There's a certain point in the game where you have the opportunity to start a second farm in a second location. We joke about we're at that point, and you got to try and set up both farms to where they sort of run automatically, and you're bouncing back and forth between the 2 locations trying to keep everything working. That's where we are. Welcome to Spice Island. As a nod to the game, I almost should have called this channel Spice Island. People might have gotten the wrong idea, though. Oh, that's my Beanie Baby notes. It's like, what is that? So I'm waking up. I have some pretty decent Harry and David warm coffee. Not cold, at least. And I decided to use my planner mode mug. My plans do usually work out a little better than, grand piano on the head. They do. I don't buy from Acme that often. If I have to, but not often. Yeah. That's a funny idea for a Looney Tunes mug. you know, Acme brand or something like that, and then in the actual artwork have like cracks, so it looks like the mug is broken. It's just popped into my head as a funny idea. You know, built tough, something like that. That might have been a car slogan, like an old Chevy slogan or something. Built tough, maybe Ford. I don't know. Durable, reliable, Acme. Yeah, when I first got up, answering the age-old question of who let the dogs out, it was me. Scrappy, I've really got to be able to walk here. You don't have to look at me like I'm an idiot. Come on, Tannhauser. He'll lay right behind my stool. And then when I want to walk, he looks at me like, what? What are you trying to do? Trying to use the narrow pathway that's here. Thank you, sir. You ready? So making a... Oh, thank you. I'm sure that had to have been Queenie. That cat deposits things in places where they should not be, coming from orify where they should not come out of. Both of Tiny's cats. Yeah, Kaiser, looking at you. Thanks for what you did in the robot. Or should I say right outside the robot. Stands on the ledge and fires into the room. Yeah, I'm staring at you. Yeah, working on my grocery list because Pix is supposed to come over. She's got to come over today because I've got a couple eBays that have to go out today. They have to go out today. Or I'm going to have an angry customer and probably a canceling customer. Which, let's not do that. Let's just get them out. But there are some supplies that I must get. I'm just kind of checking over my list, making sure I agree that I wrote everything down. Pretty sure I did. Yeah. Yeah, I feel pretty good. Panic attack's starting to subside a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, otherwise I feel okay. Tanner just ran that way. Why? I don't know. I have no idea what's going on back there. I have my suspicions. Yeah, world of Beanie Babies. Got these. Pretty much prepped. I've got another stack of bags over here. Lots I'm preparing and whatnot. Got two, actually I think I have a third. Yeah, I have a third tote out in the garage that's already basically full of what I've already listed. I need to get bags today because I burned through a huge amount of gallon bags and quart bags, and I need to get a bunch more because I'm not done. I feel that way, and yeah, I'm going to be using a lot of bags because I'm separating the lots, trying to keep them clean, keep them fresh. 80 totes. Maybe I should get a couple boxes of each, because I should get a couple boxes of each. I'm gonna burn through some bags. The quart seems to work pretty well for the larger, small ones. And the gallon works really well for like packs of 5. I'm using some of the 2.5 gallons from Dollar Tree. I love those things for like 10 packs and 15 packs. They work really well. I've got a big, probably going to do another 3 or 4. I'm going to basically set up like a banker box worth for garage sales of like 5 packs for $20. I should be able to do 7 or 8 in the banker box that way. Maybe 10. Doubt it though. Not without the lid not closing. Trying to do all the logistics stuff. And I'm not AI. Real. Poke, poke, poke. But yeah, we're pretty lean on a lot of basic supplies here and there. You know how it is. Sometimes you've got, I got a whole bunch of cereal. I got no milk. Reminded of a bit from a movie. Got Kool-Aid, no sugar. It's a good movie. What do you want? Ooh. I'm going to pick up some Aldi coffees. Because my coffee shelf is getting lean. That's an unacceptable thing. And Aldi coffees are pretty good. So we're going to, we'll be doing something about that. Probably at least a couple of the French vanilla, because it's pretty decent. And everybody in this house likes vanilla coffees. Everybody. Except Mom. Picks, not as much, She's a tea hound, so what can you do? I knew there was something really important that I didn't have on my list yet, so I talk it out with you. Coffee. Or coffee, depending on whether or not you're Fun Size or Pam. I call it coffee. I'm not actually sure specifically where Fun Size is from. Casually, I usually say she's from Baston, because I know she's from that area. And of course, Pam is from Long Island. I like to say that she's from Brooklyn. She hates it. Actually, I make up different towns no matter who I'm talking to. Where's Pam from? Oh, she's from Queens. I'm from Long Island. Anytime I say that, she hears me from 3,000 feet away, from space even. I think she's from Rochester. Buffalo. Doesn't matter. Long Island is very much, I want my $2. Very much that. It's great fun. And I love her to death. There's a few people in my life that I miss working with on a daily basis, Those two are on the short list. But I still do communicate with them, which is nice. Yes, I have friends that are girls. It's been known to happen. Just looking at the various projects that are stacking up over there. Keeping up with the basics, though. This place is so out of control. Every now and then, 80 totes of Beanie Babies shows up and throws my plans right in the hopper. I cannot believe this, man. Oh, my God. We're fishing around in the loft the other day, and it's just like, just those moments where you're overwhelmed. You're overwhelmed, and you're not even done yet. Just like, we're looking at the numbering, and it's like, okay, so A and B go all the way up to 30, so there's like A30. We didn't notice a like A31 or an A36 or anything like that, so we're pretty sure his numbering stopped at 30. So this is how we're pretty sure it's 80, because we didn't actually go 1, 2. Oh, they moved. Can you stop moving, please? 1, 2. B 1 through 30, and then I know that I saw a C21. And I think I might have seen a C26, but I'm not sure about that. But the lesson here, the takeaway, is there's A 1 through 30, B 1 through 30. Oi! Messing with cats. And at least up to C21. Now, if he didn't skip any, if he remained constant, that means we know that there are 81 totes. If there was in fact a C26, and I'm not sure if my brain is playing tricks with me on that or not, that means there's 86 totes. And it doesn't mean that there are only 86, because there may be a C27 and even up to a C30 that I didn't notice. There could be 90 totes. But I can say with some surety, if my dad was consistent, and yes, we are talking about a man. When he did this project, though, that would have been like 5, 6, 7 years ago. So I'm not going to say that he had his faculties at that point, because realistically he didn't. He still very much, needed directions going to places that he had been going to for years. He still forgot names of people. There was still the cognitive decline dementia thing going on. We weren't at the scale where the burglar was breaking in every day. And, we certainly weren't at the scale where I was not his son, but his cousin. It was 1964. That all being said, 5 years ago, we're going on the assumption that his faculties were in order enough to where he actually was numbering things accurately, not skipping, and being fairly consistent with it. Because basically, he took over the project and was attempting to store it all for Mom. So, if all of these variables are in fact solved for, speaking algebra, then I can say with some surety, sobriety, and sadness that there are in fact at least 81 totes of Beanie Babies. I felt a giant lump in my throat right there. I'm not sure if that was illness or the gravity of the 81 totes of Beanie Babies. It's hard to distinguish. So yeah, when I say that, that's because I mathed. There's at least 81 totes Beanie Babies. And if we say there's an average of 150 per, because for the smaller ones you can probably fit 200 in a tote and all that, There's probably 10,000, 12,000 Beanie Babies. So yeah, I want to get as much for them as I can because, that's, when you add it up, that's a lot of money. But I am concerned that I won't be able to recoup some of that money. Because there is a popularity to it, but it's not as strong a market as I think my mom thought it was, hoped it would be. You get me? If it were older Marvel comics or something, I got this, we're rolling. It is not. It is not 81 totes of giant size X-Men #1s with a little bit of Amazing Fantasy 15s. It is not. It's not even king size Avengers. It is what it is, though. I gotta make it work. Spice Island is full of surprises. Still learning how to shoot my walnuts. You can Google that. If you don't play, you gotta Google that. It's tricky learning that. And it sounds real dirty, right? I'm gonna get going on this stuff. I think for fun I might list some Beanie Babies. I haven't done that in a while. At the age of 55, there are a few other things that I would have preferred to be doing. Oh, Mom, Dad, moms, dads, don't do this to your kids. Morning, Hex. Doodle. Hex Doodle. Hexy. I see you flicking your ears. You hear me. What's going on with my cat? Apparently that water is amazing. I need to refill it. You alright? Yeah? Jinx was normally my water alarm clock. Still miss the shit out of him. So I don't always get reminded that the water bowl needs filling and whatnot because the bowl's getting dragged across the floor. If you've seen some of my past videos, you know that one. So having to, not that it's a great labor or chore, but I'm personally needing to pay more attention to the water bowl because I don't have him going all Jiminy Cricket on it. So it is what it is, right? Anyway. So yeah. Hug your parents. Hug your kids. List your Beanie Babies. No, don't list your Beanie Babies. I don't really need the competition right now. Please don't list your Beanie Babies a second. Give me a year to get mine out of the way. And make it a great day.